It's cut day at the Hanoi Open, as the field is reduced to the 64 who will contest the single elimination stage. Both of these men hoping to be there. They're going to have to win this match to do that. This is losers qualification round, and the most high-profile player on the loser side, Eklent Kaci, is going to take on the man who's currently at the table, having his warm-up low-ho sum. And just while we're waiting for that to be concluded, I'll bring you up to date on some of the players who have got through from the winner's side already today. They include the world champion Fedor Gorst, who won 9 of the last 10 racks after losing the opener to see off Antonios Kakaris of Greece 9-2. Wins also for Chang Yulong, Eklent Kaci, Robbie Capito, Johan Chua, Oscar Dominguez, who's trying to get back into that US Mosconi Cup team. Jerson Comayas of the Philippines is through, so is Vietnam's Wen Kong Tan. Francisco Sanchez Ruiz, winner of the Perry Open last week. Bernie Regalario. These players are all in the last 64. Mustafa Alnar, US Mosconi Cup captain Skylar Woodward. AJ Manis, who won that wonderful match against Mickey Kraus on the main table. Former world and US Open champion Carlo Biado, who's bound for Manila next week in the Reyes Cup. Shane Wolford is through as well. Former US Open champion Ko Ping Chung. And the European Mosconi Cup captain Jason Shaw. Duong Quoc Huang as well, of Vietnam, who'll be playing in the Reyes. Comfortable winner over Roland Garcia by 9 racks to 1. Wang Hung Sang beat this year's ranking event winner Honus Suto, so he's through as well. And Jeffrey Roda, a 9-5 winner over James Aranis. So Roda has advanced, picking up where he left off at the last big matchroom event, the US Open, where he got to the quarterfinals. So they're all through on the winner's side. There's still a lot of matches going on in that round. Remember, if you're beaten in that round, you do get another go in the round that we're going to be looking at here. Lee Van Corteza is 7-4 up at the moment on Elliot Sanderson. We've got Ko Pin Yi, former world champion, just looking for a couple more. 7-1 he leads against Zhu Zhihe of China. David O'Cady 6-4 up on Michael Baunan of the Philippines. Shane Van Boning has a 5-1 lead over Bezar Spahiu. And Pius Labutus, who's been to a couple of big matchroom semi-finals in the last 18 months or so, leading 4-3 over Trong Dai Tung. So there's some of the main stories going on the winner's side. But there are matches going on also on the loser's side. In fact, there are still some being played to get through to losers qualification, so still a long road for those players to go. But in the losers qualification round, Ko Po Cheng just starting out against Salvador Garcia. Antonios Kakaris has won the opening rack against former world champion Kunihiko Takahashi. Tyler Steyer, big match for him. He's looking for a Mosconi spot as well. Just getting underway against Wen Tan Trung. So matches currently going on across 3 different rounds. We will keep you on top of everything that's happening as much as we can. So Carl Boys alongside me. Eklent Kaci, as we know, Carl, came within 1 rack of winning the World Championship in Saudi Arabia back in June, but not a lot out of him since.
Yeah, he's decided to have a couple of months off, hasn't he? Qualified for the Reyes Cup and the Mosconi Cup. Decided he wanted some time off. I think it showed in his opening match that he lost. He just wasn't quite at the races. He was all over the show. Obviously he's had a few matches in the one lost side bracket now, so I'm expecting a better performance here.
And his opponent, Lo Ho Sum, most notable for that remarkable run he went on about 2.5 years ago now to the final of the World Masters. But if there was any hope that that was going to be the start of him kicking on to become a consistent performer in these events, it just hasn't happened for him. So, concluding the warm-ups. And we will be underway shortly. It's race to 9 in the final round on the loser side, loser's qualification round. Race to 8 on the loser side prior to that. So they'll be racked up and then we'll get on with the lag. So 32 players will advance as ever from the winner's side, 32 from the loser's side, and then one from each of those groups will be paired together in each of our last 64 matches. And then it's basically 2 rounds a day, last 64 and last 32 tomorrow. Saturday will be last 16 and the quarterfinals. And then we're down to a single table on Sunday, the semi-finals back-to-back in the early session, all leading up to the Hanoi Open final on Sunday evening. We'll have to go some to match what we saw last atmosphere in the deciding rack against Albin Ocean.
Here we go. Low Ho Sum wins the lag. He will get this match underway.
"26 years of age from Hong Kong. Not made a big impact this year at all, so since the start of 2024 he's dropped out of the top 100 in the world rankings. Big outsider in this match. He'll start us off.
Good opening break shot here. What's he got left on the blue? 2. Makes the 1 on the break. Straight in the middle of the pocket as well. Good effort, good safety.
So Eklent Kaci, by far the more experienced, but the younger of the two at 25. Ranked number 2 in the world. Started the year outside the top 10. Did miss a lot of 2023 after a motor accident.
Just made sure he hit the ball, didn't he? He couldn't really see any kind of kick safe. Sometimes that happens, so you just got to make sure you get contact and hope you kind of get away with one.
Low Ho Sum, unlike Kaci, did make it to the winner's qualification round. He beat Agung Pratikno of Indonesia 9-2, and then the Welshman Marcel Price 9-5 to get to winner's qualification, but it was always a big ask against Ko Ping Chung, and he was duly defeated 9-3. and for some time. Low Ho Sum. He was still a teenager when he made it to the final 64 of the World Championship for the first time.
Didn't clear the table, played the good hook, but whenever you let your opponent back to the table, you're never quite sure what may happen. Good shot. That's exactly how he played it. Hit the ball full. Try and buy myself another visit to the table.
Okay, so chance for Low Ho Sum here to take out this opening rack. He's got a bit of a reputation for having a good record against big name players. So, this 9 from distance to lead 1-0. And with that, Low Ho Sum takes the early initiative. Now a couple of players on the hill in winners' qualification. Lee Van Cortese 8-5 up now on Elliot Sanderson. And Ko Pin Yi is leading 8-2 against Zhu Zhihe. David Al-Kadi still involved in a bit of a tussle with Michael Baunan, but Al-Kadi leading 7-5. Shane Van Boning looking pretty comfortable. 7-1 up on Bezar Spahiu of Albania. Harry Vergara of the Philippines has just won rack 11 in one of the closest matches of the round against Bui Trong An. Vergara just getting in front there at 6-5.
I know it's only been one rack, Michael, but Low Ho Sum strat, I just put him in that bracket of play where if he gets off to a good start in the opening, 2 or 3 racks, I think he can keep that consistency up, and I think he could give Kaci a real big game here. So I'm watching with a beady eye over these opening few racks. And it's a couple of good breaks, isn't it? He's made the 1 ball both times. The purple 5, he's going to come and block the 2. It isn't, so the 2 goes.
So as I said, it was at the World Masters in 2022 that he had his most famous week in the game so far. Beat Denis Grabo of Estonia in the first round, and then the real standout result was in the last 16 against Shane Van Boening, who'd become world champion for the only time so far, just a few weeks earlier. Lo Ho Sum edged him in a hill-hill finish and then went on to beat Abdullah Al Yusuf in another hill-hill. Then a close semi-final against Mieszko Fortunski, 7-5. And all of a sudden he was in the final of one of the biggest tournaments in the game, but Joshua Filler eventually saw him off.
Yeah, I've just been talking about the start of matches for Lo Ho Sum. Unexpected miss. At this level, you expect the players to knock them balls in. Hit it too fat. These are always tricky though, when the balls are right in the pocket. Obviously not the pot, but it's making sure you try and control the cue ball. At least the 4 ball. The pink 4, that is in the middle of the table. You think you'd have some form of shot. He might have behooked it. No, he's took a gamble and it's not come out so bad. Lost the cue ball a little bit there. It's alright, plays it in the corner. I think he can just play it with left spin. Cue ball above the left centre pocket, back over down here for the green 6. He'll play the green 6 in the bottom left corner pocket.
Won his first match comfortably enough against Duong Man Tien by 9 racks to 1, but then was beaten in the next round by Lo Van Swan, 9-7. So he's had to win 2 matches on the loser's side already. Saw off Wen Tae Hien, 8-4. But it was close going for a lot of the way earlier against Britain's Jake Newlove. Kaci finished strongly though for an 8-5 win. So the 8 wriggles in, simple 9 for Kaci. Lo Ho Sum had his chance early on in this second rack. When you're a big outsider, you've got to take your opportunities when they come. He passed his up. And instead of the 2-0 lead he might have had, Lo Ho Sum finds himself level with Eklent Kaci at 1-all. Elliot Sanderson is still hanging on in winners' qualification against Lee Van Corteza. He's back to 8-6 behind now. Bizarre Spahiu has won the 9th rack against Shane Van Boening, but he's still a long way behind. It's 7-2 to the American there. So still not far short of half the places on the winner's side yet to be filled. So our first look in this match at the break of Eklent Kaci.
breaking with an open bridge. Most players use a loop bridge. 3 balls potted off the break.
So what would be the technical reason for a player deciding on the different bridge for the break?
I don't know. I can only think maybe he just doesn't feel maybe 100% comfortable using a loop bridge, maybe because it's a lot hotter here. Is the cue not quite gliding through as much as he would want? I don't know. Easy enough safety. He's still got to play it well. And play it well he did. I haven't seen the other matches Kaci played in, Michael, but I've seen the one he lost on this very table, and he looks to just be playing a similar type of game to me. I know he's won a rack in this match, but a couple of balls didn't go in clean. That was all a bit swipey. Cue ball straight in the side pocket.
With ball in hand, Low Ho Sum looks ideally placed to lead for the second time in the match. Made very little impact this year, it has to be said. Played 2 matches at the World Championship, lost them both. Knocked out of the loser side by Mohammed Sufi, who went on to have another good World Championship, having been to the final last year. He's gone out in losers round 3 in both of the last 2 big matchroom events. The European Open, he was beaten Hill by Badr Alawadi, and 8-6 at the US Open by Brandon Schuff. Did make single elimination in one of the events this year, the UK Open. He came up against his fellow Hong Kong player Robbie Capito in the last 64. He was beaten 10-4. Capito, of course, went on to win the title. So a very quiet year for Low Ho Sum. And a win over someone like Eklent Kaci might be just what he needs to get his career up and running again. He's had the better of the early stages. Ball in hand, capitalised on to the full. Low Ho Sum leads Eklent Kaci by 2 racks to 1. Back to winners' qualification. Edward Koyongian of Indonesia leads the New Zealander. Sullivan Clark 6-3. Zhu Zhihe really hanging on. He's got another one back against Ko Pin Yi. So now trails 8-5. And Michael Bownan is rallying against David Al-Kadi, who's still in front, but now by just a single rack at 7-6. Shane Van Boning still looking for that one more he needs. He's 8-2 up on Besar Spahiu. Imran Majid just turned 52, leading Wen Bui Trung 4-3. A close one going on between 2 Vietnamese players, Wen Dang Tien and Lo Van Xuan. That one is 6-all. Lo Van Xuan, of course, was the player who sent Kaci to the loser's side. Low Ho Sum breaking then. He's carved out an early lead, 2-1.
Good news for Kaci. He's back at the table off a dry break, and I think the one ball goes.
Yeah, first dry break of the match for either player.
Even that shot, Michael, I know he potted the ball and he's on the 2, but the one ball went off the jaw quite thick. And obviously when you get down in your natural position and you're potting the ball, you sort of 90% of the time you're aiming for centre of the pocket on most shots. So because it went off the jaw, it's almost like he's just not quite seeing it right. He's not really feeling it 100%. But he's going to battle through. He's going to try and change that over the course of this tournament. He has played a few matches now.
Of course, he's part of your team next week, representing Europe at the Reyes Cup. Have you been talking to him much this week about what lies ahead in the Philippines?
I mean, a tiny bit. Obviously, we're in a group, a full team, but Kaci's his own person. He does things his own way, and you can see that on the table. He's not somebody who shows a lot of emotion. You know, you don't know what he's thinking. Whether he's winning or losing, he'll just sit in his chair. So that's just his character. You know, the players, you can literally, you can see it in the face, can't you, what they're thinking, what they're going through. That's just not Kaci. Very laid back.
Yeah, it's nearly 3 years now since he last played in an event of that nature. He became the youngest ever Mosconi Cup player when he was just 19 at Alexandra Palace in 2018, when the Americans ended that long winning run that Europe had been on of 8 in a row that you were such a big part of, Carl. So made 4 straight appearances, but he's missed out on the Mosconi team the last couple of years. Probably would have been in it last year if it hadn't been for his motor accident. Of course, he's going to be back in the Mosconi side in Florida next month. But before that, he's got the Reyes Cup next week. So back in that environment after pretty lengthy absence.
Even that shot, I mean, look where the cue ball's finished. If he doesn't bump the 7 full, he's no shot. Good, hard match practice is what he needs.
Nothing hard about this one. As easy a 9 as you will ever see. Eklent Kaci for the second time draws level at 2-all. I guess that's going to be part of the challenge for you, Carl, isn't it? Because we don't finish here till Sunday night. On Tuesday, by which stage we'll be in Manila, it'll all be starting. So is it a case of trying to do all the preparation this week, or just cram a lot in an intensive period when we get to the Philippines?
Yeah, I mean, as far as prep on the table, I mean, there's no real time, is there? Did take 4 of them to the pool all last night. Played 4 or 5 races to 5 against Wei Antoine and Aniat's club. They looked after us. So some of the lads was playing race to 5 against them too. But obviously they are here playing in an individual tournament, aren't they? So I can't start saying, right, we're off, we're doing this, we're doing that, because I think it's only fair that you let them concentrate on the job at hand here.
Early stages, it's 2-all.
Needs the 7 ball to get out the way. Oh, he's jacked up over the 9 and all, so work to do here. Yeah, if a couple of the players get beat, you know, we've seen Aloysius Yap get beat. He's out of the tournament. He's playing for Team Asia next week. I don't know if Ephraim would be doing anything with his players, though. I think Team Asia's got more of an issue with that than us. Because if you look at Jason Shaw, Ruiz and Al-Qaeda, they've played in the last 2 Mosconi Cups, so at least they know what it's about. You know, the Asians have never really played in anything like this before. And is Ephraim going to be getting the guys to meet up and practice this week? You would find it highly unlikely.
Hard to believe Kaci's still only 25 years of age. He's been around for a long time. He was only 18 when he had a wonderful year that included winning a big tournament in the US, a number of smaller events as well, getting to the semi-finals of the World Championship, the final of the US Open. That was all before he'd turned 19. Into the Mosconi team, as I was saying, at an early age. Although he's gone on to do pretty well in recent years, I think it's fair to say we might have expected he would have accomplished even more by now, given the very fast start he made when he burst onto the international stage.
Nice shot that, to leave himself a thin cut here. Wants to get the cue ball on the left rail now, and he doesn't want to be going near the 8 ball. That could start to leave yourself awkward cueing. The closer you get to the rail, the easier the pot will be on the brown 7. Let's see where the cue ball finishes up here. Also keep an eye on where the 6 ball goes. Does it go in the middle of the pocket, or does it go in a bit thick? Well, he's not at the races, you know. The first match, Mark, I can't remember if it was me or you. I was with Phil. I think I was with
Yeah, you were with Phil for that, yeah.
Yeah, he did not play good at all, and he seems to be continuing that trend up. He needs some serious match practice.
And he's always been a bit unpredictable like that, hasn't he? Throughout his career, you've never really known which version of him was going to show up.
That's a good shot. Used the 9 ball to hold the cue ball down here. Didn't really know where the 9 was going to end up, but he also played a good 7. Well done.
Those situations where one good shot would probably have been enough to set him on his way to leading again at 3-2. As it is, missed the 7 by some way. And now it's Kaci's opportunity to lead for the first time in this match. Simple 9 in the side will indeed make it back-to-back racks for the big Albanian. Kaci in front for the first time at 3-2. News of 3 more winners who are through undefeated to the final 64. A couple of former world 9-ball champions in there. Ko Pin-yi seeing off Zhu Zhihe of China 9-5. Shane Van Boning pretty comfortable against Bizarre Spahiu, winning 9-2. And Lee Van Corteza of the Philippines, now in his mid-40s, former World Cup of Pool winner, held off a late rally from Britain's Elliot Sanderson. Corteza winning 9-7. Pius Labutus a couple of racks away from victory, leading Trong Doi Tung 7-3. And Lo Van Swan, who, as I was saying, sent Eklent Kaci to the loser's side, is on the hill at 8-7 against Win Dang Thuyen. So, I think you'd be hard-pressed to say it's been memorable stuff so far in this match, but Eklent Kaci, despite his own struggles, is leading for the first time at 3-2.
Both players finding the 1 ball on the break, but the power break, I keep saying it, every tournament we go to, I don't know why more of the top pros are not doing this break. A lot of them are doing like a medium power break. I think Eklent Kaci, Fedor Gore, Shane Van Boning are the 3 players who stand out who just seem to break a lot harder.
But is it a case that everyone has that in their weaponry to break that way?
I think that the absolute top players do, yeah.
So why would they choose not to do it, particularly when they see the success of those players employing that breaking style?
I think because they just want to make sure they are going to pot the 1 ball, so they're more dialed in with that medium-ish speed break. But obviously Kaci and Shane pot the 1 ball a lot at full power, but they also pot other balls. That's the second break. Kaci's potted other balls, not just the 1 now.
Well, I remember Van Boning in the spring of 2022, first at the Premier League, but then at the World Championship a few weeks later, which he won. The amount of times he was making not just 2, but 3, and in some cases 4 balls off the break. It was really remarkable.
Another miss, another mistake from Eklent Kaci.
funny what you were saying earlier about him never showing any emotion. I think a lot of players, if they were having the sort of start to the match he's had, see a lot of head shakes back in the chair, but you just never get that from him. So 8 and 9 to draw level once again, when it looked as though he was going to fall 2 behind for the first time. So low ho sum clears up, picking up off the mistake from Kaci, and so we're level for the 3rd time in the match at 3-all. Back in the winners' qualification round, Edward Koyongian of Indonesia just ahead of New Zealand's Sullivan Clark at 6-5. David O'Cady just with his nose in front against Michael Bownan. That one is 7-6. Patrick Gonzalez leads the All-Philippines clash with JC Cordova Garcia, 5-4. Italy's Francesco Candela is just a couple of racks away from victory, leading Din Tan Chung, 7-4. And a close one going on table 14. Bui Trong An and Harry Vergara level at 7-all, while Pius Labutas of Lithuania has made it to the hill, leading Trong Dai Tung, 8-3. Strange sort of match so far, but it's level at 3-all.
Yeah, and low ho Summy's also been finding the one ball a lot on the break.
Yeah, 3 times out of 4 so far. So as we've been saying, Kaci, runner-up in the World Championship this year, also had a good run in another matchroom event around that time of 2024. He was defending champion at the UK Open, beat Shane Van Boning to get through to the quarter-finals again, but went down to a surprise defeat there to Pius Labutas. At the European Open, he lost in winners' qualification to Emil Andre Gangflow, and on the loser's side, didn't get through there either, beaten by Fitim Haradinash. Was also in a smaller ranking final in Dubai immediately after the World Championship. Lost a close one to Joshua Filler.
Ooh, just got away with one there. If the red 3 would have just bumped the purple ball, Eklent could have potted this. Now he can't. Played the cross bank, double kissed it. It's catching. Both players are feeling the pressure of LQ. Loser of this is out. Winner advances through. David Kaci, I think he was 7-4, 7-5 up against Michael Buchanan from the Philippines. That's now tied at 7-7.
Yeah, you've got several players on the hill in that winners qualifying round at the moment. Francesco Candela, Lo Van Swan, Pius Labutus, all looking for one more. Remember, the losers of those matches come over to this round, losers qualification, where they get one final chance to get through. Do you think Kaci sometimes needs to be playing another top player to really bring out the best in him? I think there are one or two signs of that.
I think just going off the very first match that he played on here, and I was in the com box, and this one, he's just not sharp. That's all it is. He's grinding away. Listen, he's a top player. That's why he's still in the event. He can grind away his B and C game. But, you know, we've got the highest pressure situation of them all coming up in about a week, and he is not at the races at all. It's hard to just shake it off. The only way you can get out of this is by playing matches. Even practice doesn't really cut it. You've got to practice, don't get me wrong. But there's nothing like winning pool matches against good players.
It just seems to me sometimes when he's a big favourite in a match, he finds it hard to get himself up for it. Remember at the European Open, I think it was a couple of years ago, he struggled early on, found himself on the loser side, got through it, but then played Joshua Filler and played really, really well in the last 64 because he was up against another top player. Ended up losing it, but it was a really high quality match. So, Lo Ho Sum is going to make it 2 in a row, and he's going to be back in front. And still quite some way from the finish line, but you have to say, the way this day is going for Eklent Kaci, he's in real danger of an early exit from this Hanoi Open. He now trails once again at 4-3. Francesco Candela, the Italian World Cup player, will be in the final 64 after a 9-4 win against Din Tan Chung from the host nation. Elsewhere, it's now 6-all between Edward Koyongian and Sullivan Clark. Wen Van Hein is 5-3 up on Wen Van Seen. Patrick Gonzalez just needs a couple more, leading the All-Philippines clash with JC Cordova Garcia. That's 7-4. As Carl was saying, it's 7-all between David O'Cady and Michael Bownan. Wen Bai Trung of Vietnam has turned it around to lead Imran Majid 6-4. 7-all between Bui Trung An and Harry Vergara. Pius Labutus still looking for one more. 8-3 up on Trong Dai Tung. And Lo Van Xuan of Vietnam has advanced 9-7 against Wen Dang Toyen. Now that match you can see on the right hand side of your screen there is in losers qualification, and Mickey Krause, who was sent there by AJ Manis earlier, as you can see is on the brink, leading 8-3. You can watch all the table 2 action on Matchroom Multisport YouTube. Back here on the main table, Lo Ho Sum is currently the main man, leading 4-3 and breaking in rack 8.
Won't be happy with the dry break, but believe me, he'll be happy with the outcome, as long as you don't leave your opponent straight in. Well, we've seen it with Manis before, didn't we, at Hill Hill? He rolled out into a long jump. I suppose it's one of them. What you like with a short stick low? Do you fancy it or do you not? Tricky for us to see from here. If he can knock that yellow one onto the purple 5, I would think he can. So he's probably sizing up sending the cue ball into the purple 5. But then you've got to try and control the yellow 1 ball. That's what he's played. He's trying to use the pink 4. Well, he's all over the show, Michael. He is a man struggling with his form.
Will you be having a conversation with him at any stage, either after this match or maybe later on in the week, about what he needs to do to turn it around before the Reyes?
If he gets beat here, I'll be having a word. I'll be straight out there. Obviously, after his first match, I knew he had plenty of pool left to play. And listen, if he ends up grinding a win out here and gets in the final 64, he's still in the event, isn't he? So there's no need to be having a little chin wag then, because he could go on and go deeper, couldn't he, and sort of find some form again. But if he was to get beat here, I think he needs to get some sort of solid match practice in somewhere. We need to get him in a pool room.
You were never involved in a losing Mosconi, were you? Because I know you won all 4 as a player, and then was it 2 as assistant?
Yeah, 2 with Alex Layla.
Yeah. In Coventry and then in London. It was those 2, wasn't it?
Yes.
So 6 out of 6.
Yeah, it's obviously great for Asian pool fans and Asian players. And the fact that we've now got the Reyes Cup Obviously, over the years, you know, the rivalry between Europe and USA has built up nice. A lot of it's friendly banter as well. But it's there, isn't it? So the Reyes Cup, it's going to take a bit of time for the needle to be there, if any. But I think it's just great, all in all, for the tour and for the players that we've finally got the Reyes Cup. Because you know what it's like, Michael, you've worked on loads of Mosconis, there's nothing really like it.
Yeah, there are just so many questions about next week. What's it going to be like in terms of atmosphere? How will it compare? As you say, what sort of rivalry will there be? Will it be like between Europe and America, or does that take time to develop? And also, how's it going to play out? Will it be a close run thing, or will one side emerge as much stronger? Will Europe's experience of playing in an event like that count for a huge amount? Just so many things we're going to find out next week in Manila. Well, this man will be there, but he's not going to be much help to the European cause if he continues the way he's going here. Was leading 3-2. There's never been more than one rack in it either way so far in this match. Until now, Low Ho Sum makes it 3 in a row, and he now leads Eklent Kaci 5-3. So just looking elsewhere in losers qualification round, Mickey Kraus is still on the hill at 8-4 against Wenan Tan. John Del Maison, who beat Aloysius Yap earlier, is also looking for one more. Leads Zhang A Bao of China, of Vietnam, 8-3. Marvin Assis, who almost beat Shane Van Boning here last year, 7-2 up on Paolo Gilotto. Victor Zielinski is 1-0 down to Max Eberle. Georgi Georgiev, who's been a ranking event winner recently, has won all of the first 3 racks against Lin Sung Han. And we do have a winner from this round. Tyler Steyer has advanced without the loss of a single rack. 9-0 against Wen Tan Trung. Steyer, of course, battling to get into that US Mosconi Cup team that he's been in on multiple occasions before. And now he's through to the final 64, and the points will start going up quite quickly. Battles going on both sides for those final automatic spots in the Mosconi. And Mickey Kraus is currently out in front in the race for the final guaranteed place on the European Mosconi team. He is in the Reyes Cup team. And he's still comfortable against Wenan Tuan, but not quite as comfortable as he was. Gap is now down to just a couple of racks at 8-5. As you can see, it's his Vietnamese opponent at the table. But not for long. So just waiting for both players to return. It's been a bit of a struggle for both of them, really, particularly so for Kaci. So taking the opportunity to regroup. Just such a massive couple of weeks for Mickey Kraus. He's got that Reyes Cup coming up. As I said, great chance to make the Mosconi team, and he's here at the Hanoi Open as a player who will feel he's got a great chance to win the tournament. Not just because he's won the European Open, but also because of the consistency he's shown throughout 2024, really. I think if there was a Most Improved Player of the Year award, it would be pretty much no contest in favour of Mickey Kraus in 2024. Sullivan Clark of New Zealand is a couple of racks away from getting through undefeated to the final 64. 7-6 up now against Edward Koyongian. Looks to be heading for a close finish on table 14 between Harry Vergara of the Philippines and Vietnam's Bui Trong An. That one is 7-all. Just 7 places left to be filled from the winner's side. Still matches going on in losers round 3. Landon Hollingsworth, the American teenager who we saw on the main table yesterday, 6-4 up on Koh San Wei.
Yeah, many people tipping Landon as the next big American thing. So we'll keep a keen eye on that young man.
Yeah, he's only been playing full time for about 6 weeks, but in that time he's already done well in a couple of the smaller ranking events in the US. Do you know what job he was doing before he went full time, Carl? You're looking at me like you're trying to make a guess. Believe me, you're not going to guess right. He was working in a nuclear power plant.
I was going to say that and all. Damn.
Jundel Maison of the Philippines continuing a really memorable day here, making the final 64. Just beaten Zhang A Bao of Vietnam by 9 racks to 3.
Well, Wei Antoine has just missed a shocker of an 8-ball. He'll be sick. Because that's all she wrote there. Mickey Krause wins 9 racks to 5.
Yeah, so if he gets one more win, then that will mean that nobody can knock him out of the automatic spots on the Mosconi team without winning the whole tournament. So a significant result. After a long wait, we're finally on with rack 9. Well, he'd missed the one in the side twice in his previous 3 breaks. He's made it that time. Harry Vergara of the Philippines, incidentally, is now on the hill in that match in winners' qualification. 8-7 up on Bui Trong An.
I'll get the job done. You can see that little edge. He's in a hole here, though. Eklent Kaci. Yeah, even that, he's gone for a super difficult cut into that top left pocket. And even if you pot it, where's the cue ball? Now the patch has come off, it's all going on here.
Things like that never happen to you when you're playing well. The patch coming off and little things like that. It's like when you're out in the golf course and you have your bag on a trolley. It only ever falls over on the days you're struggling.
That's where the difference is. Loho Som, he's finding the middle pocket.
Part of a big Hong Kong Q Sports tradition in both snooker and pool. A lot of that is down to the state funding that's been there for a long time, but the noise is coming out of Hong Kong in recent times, suggesting that funding may be drying up. I know Robbie Capito spoke about that very publicly in the moments after he won the UK Open in Telford in May. Well, got to get something going here. This looks fairly routine for a player of Kaci's class. So even though it's been quite a struggle for him from the start of the match, really, it looks as though Kaci, at around the midway point of the contest, is going to be just one behind. Really needed this after losing all of the last three. Eklent Kaci closes to 5-4 behind. Pius Labutus, a semi-finalist in the Spanish Open last year and the UK Open this year, is through to the final 64. The Lithuanian has just defeated Trong Dai Tung by 9 racks to 4. Imran Majid now in his 50s, but on the hill, 8-6. He leads Wen Bai Trung, and Harry Vergara of the Philippines also looking for one further rack, leading 8-7 against Bui Trong An. Still 7-all between Michael Bownan and David O'Cady. Oh, just as I say that, O'Cady has gone 8-7. And Patrick Gonzalez is leading 8-6 against JC Cordova Garcia, his fellow Philippines player. Sullivan Clark leading Edward Koyongian 7-6. And Wen Van Hein has a 7-3 lead over Wen Van Seen.
He's breaking well though, isn't he? He really is. He's just not sharp, that's all. Just losing the cue ball a bit, not potting the ball in the heart of the pocket. I think he's on the wrong side of this blue 2 and all, so he's got to start moving the cue ball round.
Just one of those days where nothing's coming easy.
Opportunity here for Kaci. It's not so much the pot, it's the cue ball's a little close to the rail, so he's got to try and pot this and get on the pink 4. If you start trying to dig down on the cue ball or hit this ball with pace, it's got to go in the centre of the pocket, otherwise you're going to miss the ball. He's just trying to float over to the left. Yeah, he's played it plain ball. Sometimes you have to win ugly. Everybody goes through this. Play good matches, bad matches. Two rails with the cue ball. Play for the 9 in the bottom right corner pocket as we look at the screen.
And this looks pretty much spot on. So for all his struggles, Eklent Kaci is going to be level. 2 racks in a row. And so the Albanian makes it 5-all. Patrick Gonzalez of the Philippines, who was in the last 32 of the World Championship earlier this year, has made the final 64 here in Hanoi for the 2nd year in a row, winning 9-6 against JC Cordova Garcia. And it's gone hill-hill on table 14 between Bui Trong An and Harry Vergara. Imran Majid needs one more to get past Wen Bai Trung. It's 8-6 for the British player there. And Wen Van Hine is on the hill as well, leading Wen Van Sien 8-3. It's been close going pretty much all the way on table 7. Edward Koyongian of Indonesia against the New Zealander Sullivan Clark, such a mainstay of these events. 7-all in that one now. Back here, it's 5-all. Kaci is looking for his 3rd rack in a row.
this will work out very handy. And Sedgwick, he's been breaking well. And now he's been rewarded with a look at the lowest ball. I can just see sort of in the distance, Michael, to our left, there's a big crowd of people around the table. I'm presuming it's a Vietnamese player, but I don't know who.
Well, it might be that Hill match I was talking about. Pui Trong An of Vietnam against Philippines player Harry Vergara.
Yeah, it is. It's An Niat. That's whose club we was at last night. So, Hill battle.
Yeah, that's the thing with the early days of these events. The crowd, when you look at the main table, might not seem that big, but that's because they get dispersed all around the arena watching different matches. Just wait till the weekend when they're all focused on 2 tables and then down to just 1. That's when you'll really see the masses coming out in Hanoi.
Yet again, another mistake, another missed ball, another poorly executed shot.
You might hear a big cheer behind us. Don't know if you can see, Carl, what's going on. Well, you can't really from there, can you?
I think it was the Vietnamese player, An Niat.
Yeah, but was that to win the match, do we know?
Yeah, I believe so. I'm sure it'll flash up in a moment. The cue ball's going very close to the pocket. At least it's not gone in.
One Vietnamese player who I can tell you is through is Nguyen Van Hein, who's seen it out at 9-3 against fellow Vietnamese player Nguyen Van Sien. Tuong Quoc Quang is through as well. Wen Kong Tan has been victorious too, so Lo Van Swan as well. If we can confirm that result from table 14, and make that 5 players from the host nation already through to the final 64. Meanwhile, back here, Eklent Kaci. There's just a few balls left to to lead for the first time since it was 3-2.
Let the cue ball get away from him a little bit though. I know this is still very easy, but just because of the way things have been going, we're not exactly sat here with confidence, are we? But he's knocked it in.
Yeah, it was indeed victory for the home player in that hill finish on table 14 against Harry Vergara. He's officially listed as Bui Trong An, but what were you saying he's more commonly known as, Carl?
An Niat. He's the player whose club we was at last night. He's got 11 pool halls in Hanoi alone.
Speaking of 11, this is rack number 11. And Eklent Kaci has taken it, so he's responded to losing 3 racks in a row by winning all of the next 3. Kaci now leading 6-5. If he can win 3 more, he will be in the draw later. So let's see what's left then in the winners' qualification round. It's 7-all now between Edward Koyongian and Sullivan Clark. David O'Cady has won. He's defeated Michael Bownan 9-7. O'Cady was a quarter-finalist here in Hanoi last year. And Imran Majid, over 50, but definitely not over the hill. It's yet another appearance in single elimination for him. He's beaten Win Bai Trung 9-7. So there is just that one match still going on now on the winner's side. I spoke to you about the highly rated American teenager Landon Hollingsworth. He's on the hill now at 7-6 against Ko San Wai. That's to get through to losers qualification. And in the losers qualification round, Wang Ming has won 9-5 against Chen Chen Wei. Marvin Assis of the Philippines, a 9-2 winner over Paulo Gilito, who was a quarter-finalist in the Perry Open last week. Michael Feliciano 4-2 up on Chu Hong Ming, but Victor Zielinski in a bit of danger of missing out on single elimination. The Polish player is 4-2 down to American Max Eberle. Georgi Georgiev, who's been a ranking tournament winner recently, 6-1 up now against Lin Sung Han. Long Duc Tien, one of the leading Vietnamese players, 4-2 up on Pong Nam Pham, who has a bit of an international reputation of his own. Kunihiko Takahashi, the world champion of 26 years ago, is now 5-3 down to Antonius Kakaris. Jonas Suto, the Mexican Open champion, has won the opening rack against Fitim Haradinaj of Kosovo. So back on the main table, Eklent Kaci struggling, but at the moment he's on course to struggle through because he leads 6-5.
Can he somehow get the cue ball in behind the 9 ball?
watch out for the scratch now. It's okay.
Yeah, it was nearly Eklent Kaci then, wasn't it? It was close.
Even if he gets through now, I'm sure Kaci won't be pleased with how he's played. But he always strikes me as someone who probably wouldn't dwell too much on that. He'd just shrug it off and hope to improve in the next match. But you know him a lot better than I do, Carl. What would you think?
No, I think, yeah, I think a lot of the top players are like that. But I agree. I think Kaci will just kind of just plod along about his business, but doesn't mean all of a sudden with the click of the fingers your game's just going to improve. It needs to improve gradually, doesn't it? But I'm saying it's about winning at the end of the day. What's he playing here? I think he wanted to come a bit higher, Michael, and then flick off the red and pop the 9. Don't know if he can manufacture that now.
Well, he has managed to pull off a quick finish to rack 12, so Loh Ho Sum gets level again. That's 6-all. Edward Koyongian, the Indonesian player, is now on the hill, 1 rack away from becoming the last player to get through on the winner's side. He leads Sullivan Clark of New Zealand by 8 racks to 7. Kuo Po Cheng, former World Championship runner-up, on the hill on the loser side at 8-5 against Salvador Garcia. Michael Feliciano now leads 5-2 over Chu Hung Ming. Max Eberle has got another one on the board against Victor Zielinski, so 5-2 now to the American. Fu Jianbo, double World Cup of Pool winner with China many years ago now, leading Lu Ri-Teng 1-0. Georgi Georgiev closing in on a final 64 place. The Bulgarian leads Lin Sung-han 7-1. Hona Suto was added another one against Fitim Haradinaj. Early stages there though, it's 2-0. So Loh Ho Sum has got level again. They both need 3 more to be in the draw. Only 4 out of 7 in terms of making the 1 ball off the break. Kaci, though, has done it every time.
One rail, kick it in. He'll go close to this. Loh Ho Sum had the option, didn't fancy it. This is one of them where you really feel like you should pop the ball. If you miss it, feels like you've missed an open shot at the ball.
Didn't really get close. he's going to get another go at this one ball.
Again, it's one of them shots where you don't really like these. Full table, quite thin. It's going at an angle where you've got to pot it clean as well.
So the struggle continues. Meanwhile, Edward Koyongian of Indonesia is the last player to come through from the winner's side, having just defeated New Zealand's Sullivan Clark 9-7. Sullivan Clark will now face another Indonesian player, Andri Januarta, for a place in the last 64. And just one other result of a match we've been keeping an eye on. Landon Hollingsworth, the 19-year-old American, has beaten Ko San Wei 8-6. That's in losers round 3. So he'll now play the very experienced Billy Thorpe in losers qualification. There's still one match going in losers round 3, but maybe not for much longer, because Wen Duc Tang only needs one more rack, leading Ramazan Aktag 7-5. And it's another quick kill. So Low Ho Sum is back in front at 7-6.
Yeah, something tells us, doesn't it? This is going to go right down to one rack. It's just got that vibe about it.
Just start rack 17 now. It's so inevitable, isn't it? Well, never truly is, of course, but it does have very much that feel as we look back on some of the moments of rack 13. So the 1-9 combination gets Low Ho Sum within one of the hill.
Wasn't easy at all. So much distance. The 9 wasn't exactly over the pocket either. So great shot.
I said earlier, he's got a bit of a reputation for pulling off unexpected wins. Talked earlier about that run to the World Masters final, but it wasn't out of nowhere, because just before that he'd been to the last 32 of the World Championship. And around the same time, when there was a 16-player single elimination stage at the UK Open, he got within one round of that. But since then, 2.5 years on, he hasn't been further than the last 64 of any of these Matchroom Big Field events. What's facing him here, Carl?
Not a great deal. Hooked on the blue 2.
So how do you see the push-out options?
Well, there's no ball tied up at the minute. He's just having a nosy if he can do something with a 3 ball. But if he does, it's leaving a difficult kick. But you'd like to tie a ball up. He's playing for the jump shot here. He's tying that up. Okay. Don't know. I don't really know about that. I believe he's tied the red 3 up, but he's left a pot on the blue 2.
Plenty of Vietnamese players already through. Nguyen Duc Tang has got a chance of being another one because he's beaten Ramazan Akdag by 8 racks to 5 to get through, claiming the last place in losers qualification. Indeed, there will be a Vietnamese player getting through one way or another because Nguyen Duc Tang will play Nguyen Van Hai. So, in a sense, it's all worked out for Lo Ho Sum with that push out. Kaci's missed the 2 and left it on.
Well, he won the last rack with a 1-9 combo. There's a chance of a 3-9 combo here. I was just looking at the matches coming up. Battle of the Americans, Michael, that'll be a good one. Landon Hollingworth against Billy Thorpe.
Yeah, just mentioned that one a few minutes ago, and I really feel every match out here, whatever the outcome of it, is a big step forward in terms of experience for Hollingsworth. He's had a couple of good tournaments in the States recently in the smaller ranking events. But here we go. This to get to the hill. Oh, a long way off in the end.
Where's the 9 going to end up? Well, it's funny when you're struggling and you need a bit of help, things just seem to just go against you.
Don't think I'd given the final result on this. Ko Po Cheng has won 9-5 against Spain's Salvador Garcia. So the veteran advances to the final 64.
Tried to get the cue ball behind the purple ball. That didn't happen, fortunately. The green 6 comes to the rescue, but Lo Ho Sum, if he hits this red 3 ball full in the face, he's got a chance of fluking it in one of the side pockets.
As we move towards the end of this match, I can tell you what the next match is going to be. Jeffrey Ignacio of the Philippines, a World Championship quarter-finalist this year, will be playing Dean Tan Chung of Vietnam. And that will be along shortly after the conclusion of this one. So didn't make the 3-9 combination to get to the hill. Now he's back at the table with a chance to get there by a much more scenic route.
big few balls coming up here for Low Ho Sum. If you can get 8-6 up, just gives you that bit of breathing space. That'll work out nice. That little bump on the 9, he's got a nice angle now.
Looks to be all about this shot. If he gets it right, he should be getting to the hill. And he's done well to get back the initiative here. When you have a match where one player is a big favourite, the other player has a lead, but then the favourite takes control, you sort of feel a sense of inevitability that he's just going to power on from there for the match. But from 6-5 down, it looks as though it's going to be 3 in a row for Low Ho Sum, because he's got this simple 9 into the corner pocket. He attempted to put the 9 via a combination off the 3 into this pocket a few minutes ago. Didn't work out. But he's got there in the end, and Low Ho Sum needs to win just one of the 3 potential remaining racks to put this year's World Championship runner-up out of the Hanoi Open. So a quick look before the next rack at some of the other scores going on in this round. Michael Feliciano, he is leading 6-3 against Chu Hong Ming. And Victor Zielinski could be one of the biggest names not to make the final 64. Currently trailing 7-2 against the American Max Eberle. Fu Jianbo, former World Cup winner from China, is now 3-1 up on Liu Ri-Teng. Georgi Georgiev just needs one more. The Bulgarian, who was winner of the Seattle Open just a few weeks ago, leads Lin Sung Han 8-2. And Ko Ping Han trying to make it all 3 Ko brothers in the final 64. Off to a good start against Singapore's Nicholas Tan. Ko leading there 2-0. James Aranis, World Cup winner with the Philippines last year, has won the first against Do Van Kai. And Jonas Suto of Spain has a 3-2 lead over Fitim Haradinaj. So Low Ho Sum has beaten a lot of big names over the last 3 years. One more rack, and he'll have beaten one of the very biggest of them all.
Has he got to look at something? He hasn't. Eklent Kaci still in this match. Cue ball in behind the 6. Oh, that's nice.
As acknowledged by Kaci, who now comes to the table knowing one wrong move could end his Hanoi Open hopes.
This is a chance.
He made it to the single elimination stage in one matchroom event in 2024. This would be a very nice route to take back to that stage. If he could beat the player who's officially ranked number 2 in the world. Has not been a good performance from Kaci. There was a stage in the middle of the match where it looked as though he was at least threatening to get some sort of momentum behind him. Lo Ho Sum has taken over again. Just as I say that though, oh well, it looked as though the door might be open for Kaci to possibly get back to only one behind. As Lo Ho Sum has acknowledged there, the 8-ball has been very much his friend on this occasion.
Yeah, obviously Kaci's just trying to stay alive, but you know this match is not going to be decided on a bit of rubber the green here and there. It's just been poor from the get-go, hasn't it, from Eklent. Now he's got jump cue in hand. How are we coming to near the end of this match? Well, the end of this match, the end of the tournament for Kaci, because back against the wall, he's trying to cut this ball in. Oh, wow, okay. He's not out of the woods yet, though, is he? Look what he's faced with on the green 6.
Yeah, the 8-ball coming to Lo Ho Sum's aid again. So it's another chance to get over the line. Oh, it's a fine shot from Lo Ho Sum. And now the chance is quite definitely there. Still work to do, though.
It's all about what angle he's got. He's not going to have much angle. The little bounce at the very end has given him a little bit of summer. A man who gives us nothing sat in his chair, Eklent Kaci. You could see he feels like his tournament's over. Even his poker face told the story.
Yep, and Lo has played that one well. So this really should be the end now. And if it is, then Lo Ho Sum will have finished off with 4 racks in a row.
This cue ball needs to stop though. Oh, he's been fortunate there. Another roll. He couldn't pot it. Instead, he's on this.
Well, Eklent Kaci will be part of your European team, Carl, at the Reyes Cup in Manila next week. But he's the first of that quintet to bow out of this Hanoi Open. The world number 2 has been defeated by Lo Ho Sum by 9 racks to 6. And it's the man from Hong Kong who advances to the draw for the final 64 later today. Well, it was a struggle for a lot of the way, but I think it's a win that Lo Ho Sum fully deserves in the end. And he has a chance to add to his career CV, which has not really advanced as much as we felt it might have done after he went on that run to the final of the World Masters some 2.5 years ago. So the action continues on the main table here on day 3 of the Hanoi Open in a few minutes' time. Din Tan Chung from the host nation will be in action against Jeffrey Ignacio of the Philippines. That's coming up very shortly.